Hi, welcome to Senior Moment, Successful Aging. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka, your host. I'm the Area Agency on Aging Director with NACOG, and you can reach us with questions on aging or about the show at toll-free at 877-521-3500. Senior Moment Successful Aging is co-sponsored by Yavapai College Division of Lifelong Learning, and our producer is Connie Del Castillo, and you can reach her at 717-7607. And we also have our co-producer, Allie Bateman, and you can reach Allie at that toll-free number, again at 877-521-3500. We have two guests joining us this morning, Kelly
Boryca.
I am so sorry, I should know that. Kelly Boryca and Raymond Lee. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. We're going to be talking about OLLI, which is a cute name, but really it's Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, which is also part of Yavapai College. So, Kelly, I'm going to start with you and a little bit about your background and how you came to be where you are, and also brag a little bit that you are an Area Agency on Aging Medicare counselor and a volunteer for that program.
Okay, so I moved here from Nebraska. I got a pharmacy degree from the University of Nebraska. When I retired, I started out doing volunteer work, counseling people on the Medicare Part D, and they explained to me in Nebraska that it would be very helpful to do the training for Medicare. So I did that about 4 years in Nebraska. Then my husband and I moved to Prescott, and I started volunteering for the Area Agency on Aging. Mm-hmm. I also joined OLLI right off the bat, which was fabulous because I did not realize they had OLLIs attached to community colleges. So I am currently the chair of the publicity committee, and I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters.
Excellent. Doesn't sound like you have a whole lot of spare time.
It keeps me busy.
It keeps you busy. And Raymond, Ray,
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
What's your background?
I was a lawyer for 20 years, and then after practicing law in Phoenix for 20 years, I was fortunate enough to be appointed as a Superior Court Commissioner, and I served in that capacity for 4 years, and then I was appointed by the governor to be a Superior Court Judge, and I did that for about 9 or 10 years until I retired in 2012. And when I retired, I decided I wanted to get out of the heat and get out of the kitchen and come up to Prescott, and I've been here for about 5.5 years, and I love it up here. It's just beautiful. And one of the very first things that I did when I moved here was I joined OLLI, and that was a really, really good decision because they're really wonderful programs and wonderful people, and it's really been an enriching experience for me. And I'm also, as Kelly indicated, I'm active in OLLI. I'm on the governing council, and I'm also participate in a couple of other organizations. I'm in the Prescott Noon Lions Club, and I'm also on the board of CCJ, the Coalition for Compassion and Justice.
I used to do work with them.
Yeah, good people.
Well, thank you both for being here, and aren't we lucky? And I think that's what makes this area so rich, is all the folks that come with such expertise and so many talents, and they come to Prescott, and then we give back to the community, and that's really what makes this whole Quad City area so rich. So welcome, both of you. I appreciate you being here. So I'm going to start with you, Ray.
Okay.
So, because we're just talking about OLLI, it's lifelong learning, but what is OLLI?
OLLI is really, it's an education program, but really more than that and it's connected with the Yavapai Community College. Mm-hmm. And it's a program and an organization for retired people who want to keep growing and learning, who want to find out what's going on in the world and what's going on in their community. What makes it so interesting and so worthwhile is that you get to meet people from different backgrounds who have different interests, different skills, different knowledge, and these people want to share their experiences. They want to share their knowledge. They want to come together. But beyond the learning aspect of it, there's a social aspect to it, if you will. There's the ability to form friendships, to get a sense of camaraderie, and to, again, share ideas with other people from other backgrounds and to learn and grow. So there's a learning component and a social component, if you will. And a little bit about OLLI, and you made reference to it. OLLI stands for Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. A philanthropist, a very wealthy businessman by the name of Bernard Osher, established OLLI, I'm not sure how many years ago, maybe 25, 30 years ago was when it was first instituted or established. And there are OLLI programs at 120 universities around the United States. The one here at Yavapai Community College is only one of 3 at a 2-year or community college.
I didn't realize that.
Yes, the other 99% of the OLLI programs are in 4-year universities: Berkeley, U of A, University of Texas, Northwestern, Ohio State, Harvard, Duke. I mean, there are OLLI programs at each of these colleges and universities. So what this Bernard Osher did is he gave an endowment to each of these schools for $2 million. And based on that $2 million, these programs have grown and flourished and provided, as I say, a learning environment and a social environment where people are welcome and people can exchange ideas and participate in discussions on a wide variety of topics. So again, it's and what makes OLLI so good is school without tests.
Oh, yay.
There's no grades. There's no blue books. There's no term papers. It's the fun part of school without the stress that we all experienced where we were students.
Right.
So it's fun and it's learning. And the other thing is the curriculum is developed by the members of OLLI themselves. It's the curriculum is developed by people who have a particular interest, a particular skill or knowledge, and they present programs. They present it to the OLLI curriculum committee, and then they are able to present their programs to the members of OLLI. So it's really, in that regard, it's a bottom-up organization.
I like that. So, and it's interesting because right now they're thinking of social isolation. I can't even talk. Isolation as a public health crisis, and that social isolation is worse than obesity and smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And this is one of the perfect solutions. If you've just moved to the area or if you don't know anybody, go check out OLLI.
I found out about it from my real estate agent when I moved up here.
Excellent.
Which we think is really a good way to try and help people understand or know about OLLI.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that I think it's interesting, in being in OLLI now for 5+ years, that how many people that are here moved here from other places. There are very few people that are native to Prescott.
Yes.
Or to the Quad City area.
Yes.
So a lot of people move here without really knowing other people. So this is this organization that really helps bring people together and to form friendships and to form connections.
I love that. So, Kelly, can you tell us a little about like when do classes meet? How does that work?
There are 5 sessions per year, 6 weeks long. We have 2 spring, starts at the end of January, spring 1, spring 2, 1 summer, and then 2 fall sessions. So the classes run 2 hours per week for the 6-week session, but we also have a number of classes that are one-offs, 2-hour classes. 2-hour classes are both during the sessions and in between sessions.
Okay. So what would be an example of a 6 weeks, 2-hour class?
Okay, let me talk about that. And I didn't.
Sure.
I wrote down some notes because I didn't want to leave anything out.
Oh yeah, I have to do that too. No,
Okay.
no problem.
Well, these 6-week classes really cover multiple diverse areas of interest, and I've written down the categories that these classes or learning groups are placed in. There's music and the arts. There's film and literature. There's discussion groups in history, travel and lifestyle, spirituality and religion, science and technology, hobbies, outdoor activities, and field trips. So there is just a vast array of topics and areas of interest for people to draw from. And OLLI prints out this catalog a couple of months before the sessions to begin, so people can look at it and see what classes are being offered and what classes they want to register for. And they can register online or they can do it the old-fashioned way by going into the office. But so there is a description as to what these classes are being offered, and who the facilitator for the group is.
And can you also get the curriculum and this
Catalog.
online?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and what's your website? It's just Yavapai College/Osher?
And you
It
know what?
should be on.
Let him talk and I'll
Oh,
find
let
it.
me find it for me.
Okay.
Thanks. And then we'll put that up for our viewers.
Okay.
It's on the back, I think.
So I thought what I could just do, without going into great
Yeah.
detail about what the classes are, just to give you a sample of what some of the classes have been. For example, in the music category, there are classes about understanding and listening to classical music, or if you want to, you can relive the golden age of rock and roll. So in art, you can learn how to sketch and draw. You can learn about impressionists if you want. The film programs that have been offered have been on Steven Spielberg, for example, or on foreign films. Books, the literature section has had classes on banned books, books that have been historically prevented from being circulated or in libraries, or on mystery writers. Some of the classes on history have been the story of Appalachia, or great military blunders in history. Travel. There was a class that a woman gave about how to pack for and enjoy international travel.
That's handy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Some of it is very practical. On spirituality, for example, there is a course right now that's going to be offered on Asian religions and philosophy. And in the past, there have been classes on the three Abrahamic religions: Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. Science and technology includes classes on energy, the science of energy, or how to use an iPad, how to use a smartphone.
That's handy.
Yeah. So
At our age,
Yeah.
really.
I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Activities, for example, there are classes on how to play the guitar. There was a class that was offered on how to hopefully win at poker. So
Fun.
Yeah. So there's fun stuff, and there's more of academic stuff, if you will. But again, the idea of these classes is that there isn't a lot of homework that's involved, unless you want to read about it yourself. But it's the participation and discussion that's generated in the class by the facilitator that makes it such a positive experience.
And if I can interrupt, I took both beginning and intermediate bridge, and as everyone knows, there's a lot of bridge groups in town, including at the adult center.
Yes.
On Rosser Street, and OLLI has its own bridge group. But I didn't know anything about bridge when I came. So it was very helpful to, they have beginning, intermediate, and expert bridge classes.
That's nice to know, because I play bridge and I don't have anybody to play with. We learned at like the age of 10. Bridge is a big deal in my house. My mother was dragon lady on the bridge table. Yeah, how fun. So it sounds like there's things for everybody.
There is.
So Kelly, what about the one-time two-hour classes? What's the difference?
Well, the 2-hour classes are maybe somebody doesn't have material for 6 weeks.
Right.
So examples would be, we've had either speakers come in that aren't part of OLLI but have an expertise, or a lot of the OLLI members have personal experiences that lend themselves to exchanging.
Yeah.
One of our members was actually a prisoner in Auschwitz. So she was able to talk about that. We also had a candidate forum for the mayoral and the city council positions. So you can get up to speed on what's going on in Prescott.
That's great.
Let's see, Ray, you taught a class. Why don't a 2-hour class?
I've done it a couple of times. It was called You Be the Judge. And it was a class to acquaint people in the audience with a little bit of how the court system works, how judges are appointed in Arizona, which is a long story. I won't go into it now, but there's there are multiple different ways to become a judge in Arizona. And then what I did, I prepared some actual cases with the facts of a particular case, the relevant statute, gave those cases to the members of the OLLI class and had them discuss what they would have done, how they would have resolved it, how they analyzed it. And I think that was an interesting program. I think that the people appreciated because, frankly, a lot of people are really not aware of the court system except for maybe what they see in television shows or movies. And it's different.
It's very different than that. Yes.
Yes.
Actually, it's absolutely. How fun. I bet that was an interesting class.
It was. I think so. We had
I
good
would have
attendance.
enjoyed that.
So I also teach a class, well actually two of them, one on Medicare, new to Medicare,
Yes.
and then one just on the Part D plan.
Perfect.
So it allows people to get exposure to both of those programs. And I do want to mention with the 6-week classes, I always take a class called Viewpoints, which is fabulous for anyone who is a current events addict. Politics, anything that's being discussed currently. So a lot of...
I was going to say, Kelly and I are both
Yeah.
in that class because we both had that interest. That's
and
correct.
a lot of back and forth, a lot of different perspectives, which I found fascinating. Then I'm also in a class called Both Sides Now, similar to what Ray did, where we look at major issues like the Vietnam War, and you look at the pluses and you look at the minuses. You take a poll before and tell you what your position
Yeah.
is, then you listen to both sides and then you take a poll after, and you see if anyone has had a change of heart.
One of the things I love about that, though, is one of the things that's missing right now is being able to talk to each other. Everyone's so
Yeah.
right now, and so I would just like to hear the other side. I mean, I'd
Calmly.
be glad to
Yeah.
calmly in a
Calmly.
respectful way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what a great venue for that.
Exactly.
I love that.
That particular class, a Viewpoints class, has a wonderful facilitator. And he is able to structure the class and control the class, if you will. in
That's
such
what
a-
it takes.
Yes, and he's very good at it. But it's not, the opinions are not rendered in a judgmental way.
Or
That-
attacking.
Yes, there's no hostility, there's no attacking.
Love it.
It's really an open forum, and it does permit an exchange of ideas in a kind of a hospitable environment, if you will.
Do you often find when you do that? I mean, I'm just curious for my own curiosity that oftentimes that both sides find a common ground they didn't realize they had. Do they ever? I mean, does that happen?
It depends on the issue.
It depends on the
Yes.
subject.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes there's no in between,
Exactly.
and we have to agree to disagree. That's what
Yes.
democracy's messy,
Yes.
Yes.
and that's the way it is. That's the way it is.
But the good part about it is, even though people may not agree, there still is a mutual respect.
And that's important.
That evolves from those kinds of
I love
discussion,
that.
and that works.
And unfortunately, we may agree on some things, like, say, term limits, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole nother step to have it actually come to fruition.
Yeah, and what's the minutia behind it? Where do you draw the
It's-
line?
yes.
What's this side? What's that side? I mean, the details in the
Correct.
yeah, devil's in the details. So who gets to teach the classes, Kelly?
Our classes are generally facilitated by OLLI members. And again, it's a member who either through their life's experience, like my volunteer work, you have an area of expertise, or they have decided, I'm really interested in World War II. So you take a look at the history and you put together a class. So it doesn't mean you have to have the experience. It means that you have an interest.
So you don't have to be a licensed teacher.
Absolutely not.
It's for lay people like myself. If I don't have a degree in music. I did study music, so it'd be something that I would be interested in doing.
Yes.
We have a gal who runs a TED Talks class almost every session. And I think her interest is she vets the potential TED Talks. Then she picks out 2 or 3 per session, and they do the TED Talks and then initiate discussion in the class. Very popular.
I bet it is. And it's because there's an art to that.
So she doesn't necessarily, I don't know what skill set it would require,
Yeah.
but she has an interest and is willing to know the subject well. I've been on the last 3 sessions. We've had Game of Thrones that I've attended. So
Love that show.
I know. So
Read all the books. Yeah.
actually, you watch the show, which can be a little non-G rated, and then you discuss it. You make sure you don't miss anything because that show is so complex. So having the review can be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I read the books first.
Yeah.
Love that
And
show.
I admit, I have not seen it. So I know it's on my to-do list
Your to-do
for
list.
binge watching in the future. I just haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I binge read it one summer. 5
Yes.
books, just like candy. They were like candy to me.
I know people who see it say they love it.
Yeah, it's great. How fun! So I mean, it just sounds like such a wide variety.
It does.
You know, I think at one time you even had like a master gardener on that
Yes.
did master gardening, because that's what's something I want to do in my retirement is garden better,
And
learn
there's
more about it.
also been a number of cooking classes. Now, you're not doing the actual cooking, but discussing the techniques and stuff. So for somebody
that?
who hasn't been a cook, that helps.
And there is a class that's offered by one of the women in OLLI about healthy gardening and how to raise the vegetables that are compatible with this environment.
Yeah.
And that also has been a very popular program.
You know, yeah, and like you said, everybody moves from other places, and I'm
Yes.
from Iowa and Nebraska, so you stick something in the ground, it grows. You know, it doesn't
Not
work that way
necessarily
here.
here,
It doesn't
right.
work that way. You have to do all this other prepping and all that other stuff. So how do you belong to OLLI? How does that work, Ray?
There are different membership levels that people can engage in. Let me get my notes here so I don't.
You call it the full meal deal.
Yeah, or the deluxe, yes.
Okay.
So the full meal deal or the deluxe is $165 a year. And what that entitles you to is 4 classes per session plus 1 workshop. And that's for each of the 5 sessions that
That's
are
a lot of
offered throughout the year. So that's really a good deal. I mean, it really is affordable. And that's also a membership that can be paid for in installments. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be paid for at one time. Then there's the basic membership, which is $65 a year. And for that, it's $30 for each class that you wanted to attend. There's also, for people that are new to OLLI, there's the one-time only fee of $10. And that's just for one 6-week session. And then it would also be it would cost $30 per class. And there are scholarships that OLLI does.
That's good to know.
Yes, it's available.
Do folks? Is there an ability for people to donate to OLLI?
Well, one thing they do is if you have chosen to be a facilitator, you get a certificate good for $25. And a lot of people that facilitate will just donate the $25 back for someone else to use.
To help that. Yeah.
But you can also make a tax contribution to OLLI. I think that is a tax deductible.
It is.
It should be.
It is.
Through the foundation,
Yes, through the
Yavapai Foundation.
Exactly.
Okay, so the Yavapai Foundation, if you wanted to
And you designate,
contribute, I think
right,
that's
and you designate it for OLLI.
right.
Yes,
Right.
so that is a donation option as well. That's correct.
And you had asked about our website.
Yeah.
And it is www.yc.edu/Prescott OLLI, all one word.
And
small.
OLLI is OLLI.
Correct.
We'll make sure we post that during the show so folks will have it. So there's also a phone number that they can call?
Yes, it is 928-717-7634.
7634. Okay, and we'll also post that. So that way folks know how to get a hold of OLLI, maybe if they have more questions. And so do you have, just give me a sense of how many people belong to OLLI.
745 are currently enrolled.
I was expecting a much smaller number.
No.
That is a lot of
And
folks.
then they also look at class seats, which how many classes do these 745 people take? That's another measure.
Yeah.
And this year we're looking for a 3% growth, and the publicity committee is working on that.
As long as they get more money in their budget.
And one other thing to mention that is important, all of these OLLIs around the country with Harvard and the University of Nebraska, one difference with our program, free parking. A lot of these places, parking is a major issue, and Yavapai College has free parking.
And that's a big deal. I mean, right now in Flagstaff, we're having to pay for parking everywhere. They just changed all the parking rules, and it's a pain.
Yeah.
Because I have to go up there.
One of the things that OLLI is looking at as well is how to provide these classes, these learning groups, outside of the campus. In other words, to use
Remotely.
Okay.
technology
Okay.
at some of the, what is it, Touchmark and
Yeah.
Alta Vista and those kinds of places. And so we're exploring, and it's just a very beginning project, how to make the OLLI programs available to a larger audience for people who may not be able, because of health or transportation issues, may not be able to get to the campus. So we are trying to figure out the best way to reach as many people who would enjoy being part of the OLLI program.
And Ray touched on this, but I think it is invaluable, the social aspect.
Yeah.
And it's not just the in the class. So they have the special interest groups, which are bridge and book club and hiking. And I, again, said I belong to the bridge group. Every other week, we go out to dinner. And we have a Christmas get-together, we have a summer get-together, again, completely independent from OLLI, because you like these people and they become your friends.
Yeah.
And another program that OLLI offers are field trips. And in the past, they've had groups that have gone down to Gamage at ASU to see plays. I saw the Book of Mormon and Phantom of the Opera. And then there's a nice dinner in Scottsdale after the play.
Nice.
We also had a trip to, I think it was the Observatory in Flagstaff.
And the musical instrument
and
museum.
the musical, exactly. And and they're going to be having an outing to Arizona, which is up north and a little right near Williams, which is this animal sanctuary. So there are going to be and continuing to be new programs and new outings that OLLI keeps developing. As the membership indicates their changing and expanding interests, we try to come up with programs to meet those interests.
So before we went out of time, I really want to ask you. I'm going to start with you, Ray.
Okay.
So what do you get from this? What draws you and keeps you at OLLI?
When I retired, as most of us, when we retire, we go from a very structured, hectic life, and before that being students, and all of a sudden we have this free time. What do we do with our free time? What do we do to keep ourselves occupied and not to be bored, but to find something that's enriching? And I discovered OLLI because it offers those things. It offers the opportunity to learn, to expand your horizons, and again, to meet people from different backgrounds, from different places, and to learn from them and to form friendships with them. And I have to say, on a very personal level, when I moved here, I was divorced for many years, and I met a wonderful woman in OLLI, Jeannie, and that has so enriched my life and made me feel whole. It's just been wonderful, and if it had not been for OLLI, I wouldn't have had that experience. And that continues, and it's certainly my hope that it will continue for the rest of my life.
Excellent. You couldn't get a better story than that. And real quick before we end, what about you, Kelly? I didn't mean to cut you off, but we're going to be on.
Like so many people, we moved here and didn't know a soul.
Yeah.
So one, it established a network of friends, and then two, teaching that new to Medicare class, the way that people feel like they've actually learned something and they're more comfortable. It gives me a great deal of satisfaction.
Obviously, a lot of passion. It looks like we need to look up OLLI. So Kelly Boryca and Raymond Lee, thank you for coming today, and thank you for sharing with us all about OLLI. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka. This is Senior Moments Successful Aging. Until next time.